All right, what's good? What's good, man? Let's get into it. So, as everybody knows, Nick Nurse was fired as the Raptors head coach, I think a couple weeks back after that debacle, after losing to the Chicago Bulls. But the question here is, what team will hire him? Now, I just got news, or I just saw that the Milwaukee Bucks have fired their coach, Budenhauser. And I think Nick Nurse with the Milwaukee Bucks will actually be a great fit. Honestly, I mean, Nick Nurse, once again, I still think Nick Nurse is a top 5 coach in the league right now. The reason why he hasn't had success since Kawhi left is, let's be for real, you need superstars to win in the NBA. You honestly need superstars or stars to win in the NBA, and clearly he lost his superstar. Therefore, he wasn't successful. Keep in mind, Nick Nurse, after Kawhi left, went to the second round with Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry leaves. He goes to the playoffs again and makes it 4-2 with the Philadelphia 76ers, and he loses because, once again, he didn't have the star players. And then this year, I get he had the debacle in the play-in tournament and one of the worst games I ever seen in my whole life. But we have to keep in mind, Siakam was injured for the first 2 to 3 months of the season. So maybe if Nick Nurse had Siakam for the whole season, maybe they got that 6 seed instead of the Nets. I don't know, but I do think Nick Nurse with the Milwaukee Bucks will be a great fit. Another fit that I think would be a great fit for Nick Nurse is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, everybody knows I'm a huge Donovan Mitchell fan, and I follow the Cleveland Cavaliers somewhat this season. And I did give JB Biggerspoon, or whatever his name is, his flowers, but I'm sorry, that debacle that happened against the Knicks cannot happen again. That Cleveland Cavaliers team needs a coach that can tell them to hustle, to tell them to stop being scared. And honestly, clearly Cleveland didn't show up to play. Cleveland did not show up to play, and I think Nick Nurse will help that young team. I think he can shape them guys up because, once again, and it's no disrespect to the Cleveland Cavaliers coach, the Cleveland Cavaliers didn't show up to play. They didn't hustle. They didn't hustle for rebounds. They didn't hustle on defense. They looked like they didn't know how to play basketball. And I think that's a coaching issue. And the Cleveland Cavaliers are way too talented to let that happen. So I do think Nick Nurse will be a great fit for Cleveland. Another great fit I think Nick Nurse will be for is the Dallas Mavericks. Listen, everybody knows Jason Kidd's an idiot, Jason Kidd's a clown, and Jason Kidd needs to get fired. You give Nick Nurse Luka Doncic, and I know I've been critical of Luka, but Nick Nurse is 10 times better than Jason Kidd ever will be. Jason Kidd is living off Luka Doncic. Let's just be real. He's living off Luka Doncic. You know what I'm saying? So I do think Jason Kidd would help Luka Doncic, and I think Jason Kidd could probably get in some free agents to help Luka Doncic and tell Luka Doncic to stop taking bad shots, to start passing the ball, and start using his teammates like Tim Hardaway. So I do think Nick Nurse will really, really help the Dallas Mavericks and get rid of Jason Kidd, and they'll be a threat in the West. Boy, they'll be a threat in the West if Nick Nurse goes there. Also, a sleeper team that I do think would help, honestly, is the Clippers. Now, I do like Ty Lue. I really do like Ty Lue. But let's be for real. Ty Lue is not better than Nick Nurse. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be completely honest with you. If the Kawhi Leonard re-signed with the Clippers for at least 3 to 4 more years, I think that's what happened. I don't know if that happened, but it's looking like it. The Clippers don't have a draft pick until 2026, so they have to make this Kawhi Leonard thing work somehow, unless they're really messed up at some point. Why not bring in Nick Nurse? Nick Nurse is the only coach that, let's be for real, Kawhi Leonard actually was the best player on his team to win a championship. Clearly, Nick Nurse knows how to manage Kawhi, as Ty Lue doesn't. We all know Popovich and Kawhi hate each other. Why not Nick Nurse? Kawhi Leonard still likes Nick Nurse. And honestly, if you're the Clippers and you want to re-sign Kawhi, if you didn't re-sign, bring in Nick Nurse. Clearly, Nick Nurse knows how to manage Kawhi. You give him Paul George, you give him that team, and once again, he can probably bring in free agents and help the Clippers out. But that's my sleeper team. We don't know. But I wanted to make this video because I saw that Budenholzer got fired, and Budenholzer was horrible. He was terrible. And I wasn't a big fan of Budenholzer. But let me know, what team do you think should hire Nick Nurse? I do think the Bucks, the Cavs, Dallas, and sleeper is the Clippers. What's your guys' thoughts? And what's your thoughts on Nick Nurse? I still think he's a good coach. I do understand why they fired him, but I still think he's a good coach. And if you give him a superstar or star players, he'll be right back in the playoffs. But that's my thoughts, man. What are yours? RJ out.